Good morning, y'all, and welcome back to McKacres Farm. For those of y'all who are new here, my name is Kat, and I live and work out here on our 4th generation 20-acre farm with my partner Ben. Today, I'm super excited to be sharing with y'all our first full garden tour. I've kind of been waiting for a little while just so it looks more impressive to show you, but I realized that it's never going to be done. It's never going to be 100% presentable, so please excuse all my weeds, excuse, everything that's a mess out here, but that's how it is. That's real life. So I'm so excited for y'all to come along and join me. It is the first week of May out here, and we are in zone 7B. So our last frost was about 3 weeks ago, so we've still got some cold weather crops in the ground that are doing really well. And I've also planted out all of our tomatoes, but you'll see more of that once we get into it. So again, we are on 20 acres out here. We aren't extensively working all of those acres right now. Under cultivation, we have, I don't know, maybe half an acre. We've got some raised beds, and we've got an in-ground garden. I'm also super excited to be sharing with y'all after the tour all of our budget breakdowns for this year. So I'll be sharing what we spent money on, how much we spent to start our first year gardening, as well as what we kind of got for free and how we were managing to pull that off. So again, this is our first year out here gardening. Our goal for this year is kind of to learn all that we can, so that we're more prepared for next year. So we're going to be making a lot of mistakes, which is fine, which is awesome. That's how you learn. So if I'm doing something wrong, please let me know in the comments. Help me. So we're all still learning out here. Again, it's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect ever, but I'm giving myself a lot of grace this year as we're figuring stuff out so that we're more prepared as we move forward. So our goal is to eat a lot out of this garden, but also use it as a place to learn and grow and discover new things. So come along. All right, so here's an overview of our raised beds section. You can see we have these 2 tires. There's nothing planted in them right now. And then we have these 8 wooden raised beds. Now each of these are about 45 inches by 45 inches, so a little under 16 square feet. So we were kind of able to follow a lot of square foot gardening principles in these beds, as far as the spacing of crops go. I'll show you a little more once we get closer. But these 4 over on the left where I'm going to be starting are Ben's beds, technically. You'll see how we've kind of broken it up. And then these 4 were mine to experiment with, but I've kind of taken over all of them. So let's get started. This first bed, we have 6 gorgeous cauliflower. I'm not sure what any of these varieties are, so if you know, let me know. And then Ben has 2 little rosemary plants right there. You can see how they're doing. All of these are looking gorgeous. He did get all of these as starts from a local nursery, so that's what that is. There's a little rosemary. These are both vining rosemaries, so they'll hopefully kind of start creeping over the bed that way. And then moving back into this next bed, we'll get out of the way. We have this front row. We have a purple basil and then 2 strawberries back there. And then the middle row, we have 3 peppers. These are ancho peppers. Ben got all of these plants as starts from a local nursery, and then I've made, you'll also see these wire cages. They're just made out of chicken wire, and then the bottoms are fastened together with some river cane that we pulled out of the forest over there. So this is just kind of to keep the birds off of the strawberries, mostly just to keep some pests away. And then this back row, we have Ben's 3 tomatoes, and we got 2 of these from a local high school FFA club. And you can see they're doing awesome. Again, it's the 2nd week of May, and we already have some pretty massive tomatoes in there, so that's pretty exciting. He has 2 of the Better Boy tomatoes, and then this one is a purple tomato. I'm not sure the variety. And then moving over this way, this is our strawberry and onion bed. So we have some strawberries planted in there. We've got about 16 plants right now. These were actually pulled out of my parents' yard. You can see they have some pretty small berries, but they are pretty delicious. And then in between the strawberries, we've planted a bunch of onions. These are Utah sweet Spanish onions and, oh, focus, and Utah sweet yellow onions. So those little sprouts that are coming up right there, those are all onions. Please focus, thank you. And our librarian actually told us that if you plant onions in your strawberry bed, they will taste sweeter. So we're testing that out. And then in this front row here, we have some green onions. I actually just got a pack of green onions from the grocery store, and then we cut the tops off and ate them. And then I put the like little white parts, the roots, in some water for a little bit. And then they started like regrowing their tops. So I was like, I wonder what would happen if I put these in the ground. And this is what happened. So hopefully we'll have like perpetual green onions if we just come in and snip the little green tops off. So that's pretty exciting. And then in this bed, this is a fourth bed, we have the rest of my seedlings. Right now we only have some peppers coming up. These are California Wonder peppers. And we have some marigolds that I haven't found a space for yet. But these are all my seedlings left. I've had about 3 continuous trays of seedlings. So as soon as like one tray of my cold crops was ready, I would go out and plant it and then kind of refill the tray with some warm weather crops. So that's a little bit how I started my seedlings. I'll probably go into more detail about that on a different video. And then here in this corner, we have a cinnamon basil. It is gorgeous. It is popping off. We've been trying to keep all these little flower buds snipped so that it stays nice and bushy. So I'll probably go in later today and snip all the rest of those off. But it is beautiful and it tastes delicious. Ben got this for $2 at our high school FFA sale. So that's pretty awesome. So now we're kind of moving in to my half of the garden. As you can see, I've sort of taken over some of the other beds as well, but we won't tell. And then in this first bed, I've got a row of red romaine lettuce. It's gorgeous. I'm not sure how all the lettuces are gonna do since it has warmed up so fast this year and we got kind of a late start. I'm not sure if they're gonna do anything awesome or not. And then we have a row of 4 broccolis. This is a calabrese broccoli. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Again, not sure how well they're gonna do. I know I'm super late, but what can you do? And then we have, up here we have 6 cabbage plants. It's kind of crazy to me, like this plant and this plant are the same plants. These are all early green acre cabbages. And I all started them at the same time, but these have like a slightly different texture. And these are so much bigger, even though they were started at exactly the same time and planted outside at exactly the same time. So I don't know what's going on, but it's pretty cool. And over here we have a little marigold tucked in. And here we have a nasturtium. These are both super great for pollinators and add a little color, a little interest to the garden. So you can see how big that nasturtium is. I'll show you in the field. I've got some more nasturtiums too that are not doing as great because these beds are all planting mix that we got from our local landscape company. So it's super rich soil with some manure already worked in. And then when we cleaned out the old chicken coop, I also put some old like chicken droppings in there. So these beds are all super rich as opposed to this field, which we did not amend at all before we planted, but I'll talk a little bit about that later. Then in this next bed, we have a row of sweet basil. I started these from seeds and they're all doing wonderful. They're so cute. And then a row of Sylvia lettuce, also from seeds. I don't know if you can see, they're kind of dark brown, very pretty. They're like a red lettuce. So that's pretty awesome. And then another marigold from seed also. Also, all of this bed is from seed as well, so I'm pretty proud. And then over here we have a little herb corner. This is some chamomile that I got as a start, some oregano as a start from Ace Hardware, and then some thyme. Look at how pretty, it's so cute. And then some dill over here that I started from seeds. And then This right here was supposed to be my celery row, and here's my tiny itty bitty little celery plant. So I don't know if that's gonna stock up this year or not. I don't know, they're just still so small, even though I started those in like 2 months ago. So I don't know, if you have any tips to make celery be absolutely huge, let me know. And then coming back here, this is another bed that I'm like super proud of. It's definitely popping off. So over here we have a line of carrots. I'm not sure how much I should be like thinning them. These are St. Valerie carrots, so they're supposed to be like pretty big. But they're coming up really nice. I don't think they have any roots developed yet, but I just kind of sprinkled everything left that I had in the seed packet directly in here. I've got some carrots over in that bed that I actually transplanted, and they're doing really well, but I'll show you that later. I know you're not supposed to do that, but I did anyways. And then here we have some cilantro. We've got about 4 little plants going, and then some parsley. We have 4 plants as well. And then over in this corner we have some spinach. This should be ready to pick today. They're so pretty, they're so cute. I love them. We got 5 little spinaches. And then my rosemary, I got this as a start. And my lavender I got as a start as well. But all of these guys in the corner I started as seeds. And we have our lemon balm. It's still very small, but I'm hoping that it's gonna like totally take over this summer. I've heard it takes over, but I mean, this one is still like tiny. So I think as long as I don't let it go to seed, it should overwinter and still be a manageable size next year. My sage I got as a start. And then back here we have 2 more marigolds. I don't know why this one is so much bigger than this one. I don't know. And then back along this row, we've just got a ton of peas. They're starting to climb up this trellis. Again, I made it from chicken wire, and then the corners are some river cane just tied up. They're starting to climb pretty good, and they're a pretty good size, but they have not produced any flowers yet. So I might have missed the window to plant them. I don't know. They look really pretty though, so I'm not mad about it. And then this bed, this is the last garden bed. This is probably my favorite bed. It is done so well. So you can see right here, these are carrots. Wow, look at them go. That I transplanted actually. I don't think they've got any roots going yet, but the tops look awesome. And then right here we have a little tiny red cabbage. So it's coming in pretty good. And then we have 4 cabbage plants right here. I know we have a ton of cabbage, but it grew really well, so I'll figure out how to make sauerkraut or something. And then the rest of this bed is just kale. So I'm really happy with how this has turned out. We have about 11 heads of kale in here, and we'll just be like clipping the leaves off here pretty soon. Apparently they taste the best when they're about 8 to 10 inches long. These are probably closer to like 6 or 7, I don't know, but they're like gorgeous. Look at them shine. Wow. I'm not sure what variety of kale this is, but I think it's gonna be pretty good. Look at it. Wow, it's taken over. We like kale a lot, so I think we'll eat all of this. So in these beds we have, again, planting mix that we got from our local landscape supply company, as well as some chicken droppings that were in the old coop from about maybe 20 years ago, so they're nice and aged. And then on top I've just done a layer of dead leaves to use as mulch. I didn't worry about like drying the leaves or anything, just because they'll be all in the bed, so it doesn't really matter. So now we're gonna head over into the big garden. Our garden is about 35 feet by 48 feet roughly. So we've got about 11 rows. Some of the rows for smaller plants are spaced about 2 feet apart, and some of the rows for plants that are gonna sprawl really big are spaced about 4 feet apart. This is all very roughly guesstimated, but you'll see what we've done. So in this first row, we have some zinnias. Those are coming up really good. I got these from Walmart. Each packet of seed was 20 cents. So I got 2 packets of seed, and that has filled up the entire row. My mom really likes zinnias, so those are for her. I'm excited to see them grow as well. Then in this next row, we've got potatoes all the way down. None of them have come up yet, but I think they will. They're supposed to be very easy. So Ben is like in charge of the potatoes. That's his job. So even though I've been mulching them, LOL. And then we have 2 peppers in this next row. This is a giant Marconi, and then that one is an orange bell. I've gone in and plucked the tops of these, so that's supposed to make them grow a little bushier. I got these as starts from Walmart, so they're doing pretty alright. I'm excited to see if they actually produce any peppers. And then this next row, we have tomatoes. These 4 in the front are Marglobe tomatoes. These are from our local high school FFA club again. You can see my first little tomato is coming out. I'm so proud. So these look awesome. They're doing really well. I've staked them up with river cane and then some twine to kind of hold them all up, make sure they grow nice and tall and straight. So they're doing pretty good. And then we have a nasturtium. You're supposed to interplant these with tomatoes again. They're good companion plants. Look at the dew on it. Oh, it's so pretty. I love it. But again, you can see this one is pretty small compared to the one that's in the bed. Again, because we did not amend the soil before we planted anything. So to fix that, we've been side dressing with semi-finished compost and then mulching with these leaves. I've also been feeding the tomatoes a little bit of fertilizer, some organic like chicken meal, bone meal type stuff. So hopefully they get to liking that and growing very large. Then we have some prairie fire tomatoes. We got these seeds gifted to us from our friends, so thank you for that. They are a little small. I started all of my tomatoes from seeds very late. I started them probably in like March. You're supposed to start them in like December or January so that they get big enough to plant outside before it gets too hot and that they stop setting flowers. So we'll see if these get big enough and do anything this year. Again, we're learning. This is probably one of my biggest mistakes this year, is not starting my tomatoes soon enough. If you want to start them from seeds, they take a long time. So one thing I've learned so far is that if you want to start tomatoes from seeds, they take a long time to get up to like that size. So you got to start them like super early. So again, we're learning. It's awesome. I love it. So we have 4 prairie fire tomatoes, and then the whole rest of this row is little cherry tomatoes that I started. Again, started them pretty late, so they're only about this big, but maybe they'll grow. I don't know. And then we have a few marigolds interplanted with them as well. Again, great companion plants. And then we have this nasturtium in the row as well. Again, it's super sad. I don't know if it's like getting burnt or what, but you can see some of the leaves are just dying. So I don't know. And then in this next row, we have 4 sugar baby watermelons. You can see them, they're very small. I'm hoping that they will get very large this year. So we have 4 sugar baby watermelons and then 4 cantaloupes. Hello, little guys. I just transplanted out here like last week. So I think they're still sort of recovering from that transplant shock. So after that, they should kind of start exploding, is my hope. Look at the little guy, so cute. And then we have 4 zucchini plants. These I started from seed as well, and they are doing awesome. They are bushing out. They even have some little flower buds on them down in there. So I'm really excited to get some zucchini. Hopefully we won't have too much zucchini. We only have 4 plants. I don't know. I'm gonna look back on this and regret it, I think. So, started these from seed as well, and they're looking awesome. Super easy. So then one row behind the zucchini, we have an entire row of leeks. I've never grown any leeks before. I mean, I've never grown anything before, so we'll see how it goes. But I got an entire like cup, like one of those little like Bonnie cups at Walmart for $4, and I broke them all apart and filled this entire row with leeks for $4, so that's pretty epic. They're doing pretty good. They look pretty happy. They're not like bulking up yet, but I think they will. In this next row, we have all of my cucumbers. So I started these from seeds. So we have Market More cucumbers for eating, and then National Pickling cucumbers for pickling. So this entire row, half of them are eating cucumbers and half of them are pickling cucumbers. So I think that should give us a good selection. That might be too many. We have about 8 or 10 of each. So I don't know, we might have a lot of cucumbers, but that's okay. And then for these next 4 rows, this is the entire like back of the garden, is these 4 back rows are all sown with corn. It's white, super sweet corn. So I'll show you a little sprout that's coming up. Hello, Mr. Corn. Look at you go. So what I have done for the corn is you're supposed to plant them about 9 inches apart. But I didn't want us to get like 80 corn ears all at once. So I planted the seedlings about 18 inches apart, so double what they're supposed to be. And then now that it's about 2 weeks later and they're all sprouted up, I'll go in and plant another like sowing, I guess, a second crop of corn in between, like staggered the seedlings that have already come up. So that's my plan. I don't know if that's gonna like mess with the pollination or something. I might have to like hand pollinate. I don't know. We'll see how it does. But I just want us to be able to use as much of the harvest as we can. So I'm sort of experimenting with like maximizing our yield. So the corn is in like 4 rows that only go halfway down. So instead of doing like 2 long rows, they kind of had trouble pollinating that way. So we've done like a half row of like a block of 4 half rows. So over in the other half of the garden, behind, like beside the corn, we have a row of sunflowers planted. Now I just planted those, so they're not coming up, so I'm not going to show you. But we do have some sunflowers. Those are mammoth sunflowers. So I've seen some that get like 12 or 15 feet tall. So I'm really excited for that to happen. I don't know. Will it? Maybe. So y'all, that is all of our garden. Thank you for joining us for our first ever garden tour. I'm really excited. I think this is going to be an awesome year. We're definitely going to learn a lot. So I'm super excited about that. So I thought I would just take some time to kind of sit down, get chatty, and talk about our garden budget. I haven't seen a lot of people talk about this like on YouTube. And it's something that like I'm super interested in, is like how financially sustainable is this? Because I see people like buy all these crazy varieties of stuff, all of this equipment, all this like fancy stuff, and that's not where I'm at personally. So we're like super working way more budget friendly. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of share how we got our materials and what we're using and how it's working for us. So skip the rest of this video if that doesn't interest you. It's fine, whatever. But this is just interesting to me. I like to nerd out about all this kind of stuff. So let's get into it. Like I said, those raised beds behind us, we did find those for $5 a piece, and we got 8 of them. So that comes out to about $40. They're actually repurposed old shipping crates. So we found a guy locally who does a lot of shipping, and he turns the old crates into these garden beds and sells them for $5. So pretty awesome, pretty good way to be sustainable and also like financially conscious. So that's pretty awesome. You can get custom beds made for a lot of money. So it was awesome that we were able to repurpose those and use them. So I'm happy with that. Then in our raised beds, we did fill those with a planting mix from our local landscaping company. It is a small locally owned business, so I'm happy to support them. They sell planting mix, which is mushroom compost, soil conditioner, horse manure, all kinds of good stuff mixed together into one planting mix for $40 per yard. And we ended up getting 2 yards to fill those beds, so that comes out to $80, which you saw how well the plants in there were doing, so I'm really happy with that. I think it has been an awesome investment. That soil is great. It is dark and rich and full of life, so it's doing awesome for us. Highly recommend checking out your local landscaping company. If we were to buy like bags of soil, that would have been a lot more expensive. So buying it in like semi bulk, again, that's not like a crazy amount, so it's not like you have to have a mega garden to buy in bulk, but just 1 scoop is 1 cubic yard, which fills up about 4 of those roughly 16 square foot beds. Next, we spent about $68 total on plants from starts. We got those mostly from our local high school, which has a Future Farmers of America club, and they have a plant sale that runs through the entire spring, so you can get starts for like $2. So that's what we have done. We are so happy to support local high schoolers that are interested in farming, that are looking to do that for their career, and it's a lot of fun. They have some really cool, fun plants, so check out your local high schools for good, cheap plants that also go to help support the local community. So most of our starts came from there. We also got some from local nurseries. I got some from Walmart. Whatever, do what you can. Even the ones from Walmart were like $4, which is not super bad. I got a lot of my herbs from Ace Hardware, which is in town. So those are like perennials that I'm not gonna have to buy again. Hopefully, most of the stuff that we got as starts will overwinter fine. Not like the tomatoes or anything, but you know, we're in the South, so we gotta have like the best tomatoes. Okay, the best tomatoes. Ben also got like the majority of the starts just because he started using the paper pots to start his seedlings, like the brown paper compostable pots, and those did not work out well for us at all. Like, they leached all the moisture, and I read online that they leach a lot of the nutrients from the soil also. So the internet told me that they were bad, and in our experience they were awful. Like, none of his seedlings germinated. So he had to end up filling a lot of his garden space with seeds from starts. Again, now that we know how that works, that won't be an expense for us in the future, either buying those pots or buying a lot of the starts that we did. So $68 on plants as starts. We spent about less than $20, I would say, on seeds. How we got away with that is our local library has a seed library. So you just go in, show them your library card, and you get to pick out 7 varieties of seeds, like 7 little packets of seeds per month, which is an awesome program. So that's actually where we got most of our seeds. And then the key to sustainability with that is you just bring in some of your harvest to put on. They have a little produce stand that people can come and plant like some of your harvest for free, or you can bring them back a packet of seeds at the end of your season whenever your crops have gone to seed. So that is an awesome resource in our community. We are so happy to support that. We will definitely be bringing a lot of seeds back to them so that everybody can enjoy this awesome resource. And we have told like everybody that we know about this program, so it's awesome. Check out your local library for a seed library because it has been phenomenal. And then we were also gifted some seeds from our friends. They started gardening this year and they had a lot of extra seeds, and we were like, yes, we will take that off your hands, absolutely. So we ended up spending less than $20 for seeds. That was stuff that we like couldn't find at the library that we wanted to grow. So like I bought celery seeds, some basil seeds, stuff that we couldn't find anywhere else, but that we knew we wanted to include in our garden. We spent about $45 on a rototiller to till the big garden. Again, that's not an expense that we will be needing to have next year, hopefully. I'm planning to be having a lot of compost ready to sort of do a no-dig method. So lay down a bunch of cardboard over there and then lay down about this much compost, probably 4 to 6 inches of finished compost, so that we can just plant into that and not have to till the ground again. Now, if we plant a cover crop this winter, we might have to till. I'm not sure how that's gonna work. I haven't thought that far ahead yet. So if you have any good cover crop recommendations, let me know. Or cover crops versus doing a no dig method, let me know. So $45 for the rototiller. We rented that from Home Depot for like half a day, so not super expensive to get a massive garden. And we could have like rented it for 2 hours to get the garden that we had, but like half a day was the shortest time that they had. So you could have tilled probably twice as much of what we did. I'll show you. That's how big it is. You could have tilled probably twice as large of a garden for $45. So a pretty good investment, and not something that we'll have to make again. Next, we did buy some watering hoses from Walmart. We had to get 2 100-foot hoses. The spigot is all the way in the back of the farmhouse. So we were having to like carry buckets of water back and forth, and it was super annoying. So we bit the bullet and got 2 100-foot hoses at $25 a piece from Walmart, and then a little sprayer nozzle for $15. So we spent $70 on our irrigation system. Now, we don't have anything fancy. We don't have any sort of like drip lines or irrigation. We just have a watering hose, and we stand out there for like 20 minutes and just go. So is it the best? No. Does it work? Yes. So, and for $70, not bad. And again, that's not a purchase that we'll have to make again in the future. Hopefully that is an investment that's going to last us a few years. Dad is planning on like running a water line kind of closer, like from the back of the house to out here, but until that happens, we will be watering with the hose the old-fashioned way. And then I spent about $5 on a little bag of tomato food. That's like chicken bone meal and blood meal and all that kind of stuff. Tomato and vegetable food to put in the big garden. Again, because we didn't amend the soil, I have been side dressing with my own compost. And then I put a little bit of fertilizer on the tomatoes specifically. I'll probably end up doing that to all the vegetables just so that they get the nutrients that they need. We planted a lot of heavy feeding vegetables like tomatoes and corn, and we did not amend the soil before we planted them, so they need to have something to eat. So $5 on a bag of fertilizer, not bad. It's organic, whatever. And then I spent like $10 on a little hand shovel. We're very lucky that a lot of the tools we needed, like a mattock and rakes and shovels and buckets and pitchforks and wheelbarrows and all that kind of stuff, was already here. So we were able to reclaim all of those tools, and then I just spent $10 on a little trowel, so that I could work in the square foot garden. So some of the things that we get for free, now that I've talked about all of our expenses, like I said, we get all of our seeds, most of our seeds, from the library seed program. So we get those for free, which is awesome. We had all the tools for free. Like I mentioned earlier, I built all of the cages over there, and all of the tomato trellises from reclaimed materials from river cane, twine, and chicken wire that was already here. So we didn't have to spend money on any of that kind of stuff. We get all our compost for free. I made all our compost with my own 2 hands, so I'm really proud of that and being able to use that in our garden efficiently. All our mulch is just dead leaves that have fallen, that we had in a pile back in the field. So I've been able to reclaim all of that as well. And then our water is well water. So that is free, which is awesome. One of the biggest expenses in gardening is watering your crops. So we're really lucky that we are on a well out here. We don't have to pay for any of the water that we use to water the crops. All of our wood chips that are around the garden beds are from our local lumberjack. He likes to be called a lumberjack. He doesn't like being called an arborist or a tree worker. Okay, so don't come at me. Our local lumberjack. is about 5 minutes away. He dumps all of his wood chips from cutting down trees in a big pile and lets anybody who wants to come and just take up a trailer load or however much they want. So every so often we'll hook up the trailer and go get a load of wood chips. That's all of in between the raised beds is wood chips from him. That just helps keep the weeds down. Eventually I would like to go in between the rows in the big garden and put some wood chips there to help smother some weeds. But that's a lot of wood chips and my back is very sore, so we'll see how that happens or when or if. So we get that for free. I talked a little bit about my seed starting method. I'll probably talk about that more in a future video, maybe in the spring. But all of the little seed pot materials were also left here in the barn. So we've been able to use those for free. So that's awesome. They're just the little black plastic things that plants come in. And my grandparents have squirreled them away and now we are able to use them. So that's pretty awesome. We didn't spend like a lot of money on our seed starting. I forgot to mention we spent probably $20 on like potting soil specifically formulated to start seedlings in. I think that was worth it. I forget the brand, but we use an organic seed starting mix that already comes with the McKacres and the vermiculite mixed in, and it was awesome. Had very successful germination with most of our seedlings. So I'm very happy with that. We got it from Ace. It was like $10 a bag and we ended up using like 2 bags. So highly recommend. It was definitely worth it. So you might be curious, what is our grand total of expenses? Again, this is an estimate. I didn't like look at all of our receipts or anything for this year, but just kind of what I remember as spending is about $330, everything all totaled up. $330, $340, somewhere around there. Again, not all of that is stuff that we will have to repeat next year. Most of it is investment stuff that we won't have to buy again. Like the hoses was our big expense. Plants from starts that are perennials we won't have to buy again. Any of the soil that goes in the beds we won't have to buy again. So next year, if we are on the same track, we'll spend maybe $100 on our garden. So I'm super interested to know what you guys spend money on, your total garden budget, what you save money on, what you got for free. I love nerding out about this stuff, so let me know, what does yours look like? I'll do an update video probably maybe at the end of the season on how much we earned from our garden, on how much like produce we got, and how much money we saved by gardening. So I'm really interested to like compare the two, how much we spent versus how much we save on our grocery bills. I also want to hear from you, like, how much did you save gardening? How much did you learn? How much did you invest? How did you spend your time? It's another thing. I've put a lot of my own personal time into this garden. So where we were able to get things for cheap or free were things that I had to fix or work on or make myself. So that's definitely a trade-off for sure. Not every garden budget is going to work for every gardener. There is no one-size-fits-all in gardening. You also definitely get a lot of intangible benefits like learning and growing and being outside in the peaceful nature, learning where our food comes from. So all of that is incorporated as well. It's definitely not about the money, for me at least. Although it is nice to do things as cheap or free as possible, also as sustainable as possible. So that's one thing we focused on this year as well, is using repurposed materials wherever we can. That has definitely helped keep our costs low as well as be better for the environment. So that's super awesome. We've also focused on supporting local businesses where we can, like the high school farm, Future Farmers of America, and our local library. So that's something we're really passionate about as well, is supporting our local community with our purchases wherever we can. So let me know, did you do it cheaper? Did you do it better? Am I doing everything wrong? Am I doing everything right? let me know in the comments. Let me know what you want to see in our future videos. I've been sort of uploading every Monday. That is kind of what has worked for my schedule. I might upload more like of a vloggy thing on Thursday this week. We'll see how it goes. This is definitely going to be a busy week in the garden for me, so I'd love to bring you along. Thank you so much for watching. Welcome again to McKacres Farm. I'm so glad you're here gardening with me, learning and growing together. So thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Hit the subscribe button. Adios.